Welcome to pre-Diwali celebrations at the Coffee Con show, powered by the Emerging India Forum and tech partner Prime Infotech Solution. Theme: the series is the Emerging Professional, and the theme is balancing growth and finance. Samir Arora on building smarter businesses. We are at AWFI's co-working space. So, in the dynamic world of business, whose startups dream bigs and SMEs strive to scale, financial clarity often becomes a key differentiator between survival and success. Samir Arora, managing partner at ATMS Group and a seasoned financial strategist with over 25 years of experience, has been the guiding force for 1,500 plus ventures across 6 countries. As a virtual CFO, mentor, and board member, Samir has not only helped businesses structure their finances but also inspired entrepreneurs to think long term, embrace innovation, and build sustainable growth models. In this episode, we sit down with Samir to uncover his journey, his insights, and philosophies that blend numbers with vision. And we also come to know Samir as a person. So, welcome, Samir, to today's special pre Diwali celebration episode.
Thank you.
So, let me explain you. There will be 3 rounds. First round will be your professional journey, personal journey, and a surprise, the rapid fire round, where you're in the hot seat, like you're with Coffee with Karan, and you have to be witty, fun, and quick, and use inspiration. You're getting AI in the corporate world.
Wow, nice.
Okay. So, friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation, legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. So, my first question, Samir, how has the journey shaped up, and what were the key defining moments you had?
So I cleared my chartered accountancy when I was 21 years. While doing chartered accountancy, I did it because my friends were doing it. I was not very clear. But the first defining moment for me was the firm where I was doing my articleship, like we have in our chartered accountancy. They offered me a partnership when I was just 22-year-old. So that gave me a chance to be a business owner and think like a business owner at a very young age. I always had entrepreneurship on the back of my mind. I grew the firm like a traditional chartered accountancy firm, focusing on tax, audit, and accounting, which generally how CA firms grow. In 2013, I realized when we were dealing with a lot of SME clients that financial structure or business finance as a function was completely absent for SMEs. They had their accounting team, they had their tax team, but they did not have anybody advising them on how businesses were going financially, in terms of nobody looking at business from financial lens, nobody giving them insights, nobody helping them grow. That's where we thought that, while there are larger companies having a CFO, why don't smaller companies also have access to virtual CFOs, since they wouldn't require somebody who is full time. So that was the second defining moment when we started CFO services as a concept and started building it as a product. And I think the third, defining moment for me would be 3 years back when our firm was chosen as the only chartered accountancy related firm to be part of a Stanford program. Stanford has been helping, mentor some of the businesses in India, and we were chosen among them. And once we did that as a formal training for a year, a lot of opportunities opened up, a lot of our mindset opened up in terms of how we could do this at scale. I think these are three broad, defining moments in my last journey of 28 years.
Wow. So, let's build a conversation. In your introduction, as I shared about, you have worked with over 1,500 plus clients globally. So, what's one common financial mistake SMEs and startups make when scaling?
I think the biggest mistake that I've done is I've seen is business owners per se. I love working with founders, and business owners are very optimistic people, and optimism is what gets people into entrepreneurship. But sometimes when we look at it on the financial side, they are too focused on revenue. They have limited knowledge on limited focus on profitability, and the least understanding of cash flows. So I think that's the biggest thing that I have seen, like a blind spot for them, that it's complete chasing for growth and not being understanding the cash flow part of the business.
Wow. So, when working up now, how do you differentiate between financial strategies for startup versus a well-established SME? What are like key elements?
Yeah, so I think there are different aspects that need to be seen when you work with startups versus how you work with SMEs. Startups have to have predictability on revenue. and they should also have idea on their cash flow runway, which becomes very important for a cash flow to thrive and survive. While when you look at SMEs, they have already built a business which already has a model. For them, the key components is about maintaining or growing their gross margins, seeing their expenses are efficient, great utilization of working capital, because that's where I see a lot of SMEs getting stuck. Understanding cash flows and then reinvestment of those profits for further growth of business. So I think those broader areas, keep both of these startups and SME a little separate on the way they should be looking from the financial point of view.
Wow. So, Samir, many founders focus on fundraising, but few on financial discipline. How do you coach them to balance both?
I think it's a very interesting question that you asked me, Amir. Fundraising right now has become a word which signifies a lot of cheerleading, right? You have your pink papers always talking about people who have raised funds. I meet a lot of startup founders for whom fundraising becomes a very it's like a goal for them. They would ask me questions like, would an investor like this, or would I get an investor if I do such a thing? And I need to explain to them that whatever is good for your business is good for an investor. Don't build your business for investors. Build your business which is good, and investors will come. So for me, fundraising is like the fuel, but discipline is the engine. So unless you have built your engine, only fuel will not help. So I always tell them that ensure that you have the right disciplines in place for your business, because without the right disciplines, any amount of funding that you will raise will never be able to give you the impact for your business.
Wow. So, Samir, you have got exposure to global markets. What differences do you see in financial planning between Indian businesses, especially I'm dividing in two parts, the startups, the SMEs, and the corporates versus international one?
Um, So, I've been working with a lot of companies here in India and internationally as well. And there are some stark differences that I see in between both of them. So, the founders here are very risk tolerant. I see a lot of risk tolerance in Indian startups, but they are not very process driven. They want to jump the cliff and then find ways in terms of how they would, figure out things. So, they want to take risk, move fast, but they do not want to go through every process. But when I work with international clients, they are very highly focused on planning. They are very process driven people, and they want predictability very high. So they don't like surprises. So when you work with foreign international clients, you have to give them the entire process. This is step one, this is step two, and this is step three. And only when they see a lot of predictability and process in what is being done, that is what gives them a comfort.
Beautiful. So now many startups are going for IPO. And IPO and wealth creation are key parts of your expertise. What mindset should a startup founder adopt before going public, going for IPO, and what are the steps he needs to take along with his team to prepare for an IPO?
I think IPO is a responsibility. When you go for an IPO, you are taking additional sense of responsibility. I always tell founders that when you run your businesses which are going to be going for an IPO, you are actually wearing two hats. There is one hat which is like a CEO or a managing director of a company, where you are an executive of a company and you are required to perform certain duties. And there is another hat which is for as being a shareholder of the company, wherein you are actually overseeing the company and seeing whether the direction and speed goes right. Now, when you do a fundraising through an IPO, you have external people who are investing in your company, and it is your responsibility to ensure that the governance and transparency in your business is put in place. You cannot run your business thinking that I and my business are like left pocket and right pocket of me. You have to keep yourself and your business aside, and you have to believe that now you are working for your business. And unless you have great governance, unless you have great transparency, unless you have taken the responsibility for ensuring that your investors are earning, or your investors are taken care, your IPO journey is not going to be great. So before you get into an IPO, you build your organization to be thinking that transparency, governance should be at the top priority, and then go for fundraising. It makes life easier for them.
Beautiful. Samir, having led teams and advised boards, What's your leadership philosophy when guiding business decisions?
I think one thing that comes very strongly for me, I've been in the same profession for 28 years. I like to play long-term games, and that's where every decision that comes when I am part of a board or helping somebody take a decision is whether it will be good for the company in long term. Short-term decisions and short-term wins, while they look very seductive, it's not great for companies. And this is specifically for companies which have investors on board where they want to show short-term wins and they would take decisions which work well on the short term. So first principle is whether this is good for them in the long term. Second, thing that I keep in my mind is that rather than giving them quick answers, I like to ask tougher questions to them because I think the right questions help them give right answers. And also, while risk management comes very naturally to me, as finance guys, we would always try to see what happens if this does not work out. I've also now, with my maturity, started asking what is the big upside if this works well. So I think this framework now works to help decision makers actually think a little more broader before taking a decision.
Wow, beautiful. So, Samir, how do you define sustainable growth in today's volatile economy?
Again, I think great question, Amir, with everything which is happening outside. For me, simply put, sustainable growth is if you are able to grow your business without burning cash, without burning your people, and without impacting your credibility. So if you are able to do that, you are able to build sustainable growth. Your business, for me, should be boring. You go to your office, your revenues are growing, your margins are protected, you have cash profits getting generated, and you are now thinking how to invest. So ensure you have built systems where businesses work, and those systems are driven by people who are motivated to work in your team. And at the end of the day, it's profits and cash flows which are getting generated. So if you're not burning all of them, you are actually doing a sustainable business.
Beautiful. So, Samir, in the first part of the conversation, you shared about the Stanford program. Can you share more details about this program and how did it help in helping this 1,500 clients globally?
Yeah, so Stanford, believes that countries grow when entrepreneurs grow, and they believe that the economies grow when small and medium enterprises grow because the larger organizations will always have the bandwidth, the larger organizations will always have the resources to grow. So their focus is that they want to help economies to grow by supporting the small and medium businesses to grow. And that's why they're identifying countries like India where they would want to select few SMEs which have the potential to grow and back them with a lot of knowledge that Stanford has. So that program was 11th-month program for us when we would have professors from Stanford flying down. Infosys had given their campus for 7 days of immersion week where people, and we were taught the things that unknowingly we were doing in business, but more formally to think about it, things on strategy, things on marketing, things on go to market, things on how to read your balance sheets for people who don't come from the very finance background. And it was not just about teaching, but it was hand-holding because we would have teaching at one level and then we had consultants in India who would actually come to our office and help us implement that. So while we were doing it, we realized that there are so many opportunities that we had and we were actually underplaying because of years of doing the similar things. And it opened up doors for us. And it also gave us a lot of frameworks which now we use when we are consulting our clients and helping them grow. So those frameworks that they have given have helped globally companies, and we've just been fortunate to have them implement in our own company and help our clients use the same.
Beautiful. So let's go maybe down the lane, Samir. What's been the turnaround for a startup vis-a-vis the financial goals of that startup you worked on?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I've worked with a lot of startups. I've seen entrepreneurs grow. One of my most good memories where I was working with a startup before 2007, 2008 financial crisis happened, and that startup was on the verge of closing down, and we went back to the drawing board, redid our business plan, to understand what is it that now we should be doing. We created some templates in terms of how decision making should be done based on financial data. Build our models over a period of time. We were helping them do the basic accounting, taxation first, then help them build their internal finance system, in-house, all of that. Kept mentoring, guiding the business owner, and in the plan, in a matter of 6 years, the founder not only grew the business, but it sold the business to a Japanese MNC at a huge valuation, which was near more than hundreds of crores of valuation. So that journey has been fascinating. I'm sure the entire credit goes to the founder, but some part of it, being attached to them and looking at that business and advising them from the financial and strategic point of view, makes the whole journey, more, satisfying for me as well.
Wow. So let's come to your virtual CFO services. As a virtual CFO, what's the most challenging aspect of working with multiple businesses across diverse industries? And I would add one more layer. What are the roles and responsibilities of a virtual CFO?
Yeah, so as a virtual CFO, the model is that we would be working with multiple clients, because one client wouldn't want to have a full-time CFO because of the scale at which they are, and also because they work with a CFO who brings in a lot of external perspective. So we are working with multiple clients. So I think the biggest, I would not say challenge, but the most interesting part of what we do is the agility to switch context. I am today meeting a client who has maybe 55-60% of exports to US and has been hit by a 50% tariff. And now the conversation is about risk management and how to plan for the next few months till the time we have more certainty. I go to the next meeting the other day, and then my client is actually a senior person who's built an industry, and his second generation entrepreneur son has just joined the business. And now the conversation is about institutionalizing the learning that the founder had into systems and processes so that the next gen can run it and maybe better it. I go to the next meeting, and there a client is planning for an IPO, and he is wanting help in terms of how do we build a storyline which makes our strength easily spoken to our investors through a form of story. So interesting for us, we work with various clients at various phases, but I think the agility to switch context becomes the most important thing. And as a virtual CFO, what we are doing is we are actually looking at businesses from the financial lens. Coming as an outsider, we are unemotional about business. We believe that the karma of business is to make profits, and not only profits, have cash, generate cash and have balances back. We believe that let's create value for business, and value when created for business will build valuation. So we are building those corporate financial structures which large companies have, which help them grow on a regular basis, into small and medium enterprises which have only accounts team doing the basic accounting. So we are providing that top-up layer that brings in a lot of insights to business owner, and those insights actually help them do the business better.
Beautiful. So now, AI is everywhere. How do you see technology and AI reshaping financial advisory and CFO services in the next 5 years?
I am a big proponent of technology. I believe technology changes, and you have to adapt to technology. So again, I would also agree to the quote that technology and AI will not replace people. It is people who use technology and AI who will replace other people. So you have to be in forefront. You can't avoid technology. We have a small internal tech team in our company which is trying to automate, build some things. We fail a lot of times, we learn a lot of times, but we are doing our bit to understand that. I think technology going forward, as I see specifically for the virtual CFO industry, is that right now we do have a lot of data, and that data is being used for creating insights.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that will get automated. The role of a virtual CFO is going to be using those insights, vouching for those insights, and then creating an impact in the organization to help them grow. I think this is what the human element, this is what the wisdom element, this is what the knowledge element which a professional brings in is going to be of more demand going forward.
Very true, very true. So my last question for your professional journey round, if you could give one golden financial principle that every business, big or small, must follow, what would it be?
I think create value in business. Don't chase valuation. Once value is created in business, valuation will always follow. And maybe I'll add more. I think cash is king, but governance is crown. So ensure you have the great governance and have a strong focus on your cash. I think that's a golden rule that I would say every business owner or every startup or SME should follow.
Wow. So I say in my in my early days, content is king, design is queen, but now context is king. I'm doing a course with Neeraj Shah, my mentor.
Yeah.
I didn't know. He says context is queen.
Yeah.
Sorry, king. Context. So we're learning to use AI for everything, automation, agentic, and everything.
Brilliant.
So I added one more element: context.
Yeah, I think that's what we also did. First, we used to say, revenue is good, then profit is good, then cash is good, but then the governance on top of it is the crown.
Yes. Okay. So let's go to the next round and understand Samir as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
Yeah, so I was a very studious student at school. I was among the top 3, 4, rankers in the school at that time. Good in studies, bad in sports, and would be very participative in my school days. And then when I switched to my college, which was Podar College, I moved from being a first bencher to being a last bencher. I think those were the years which helped me help me become a little more street smart, understand because that is also the age when you go out and explore yourself. I think numbers came very naturally to me, whether it was maths in my school or it was accounts. I'm fortunate that I was well advised, or maybe life took that turn that I built my career around numbers. So, but this was something which was always very good for me right from the school days.
Wow. So when you're not crunching numbers, what's your go-to way to relax?
I love listening to music. I think I'm more of a book person. I would rather sit on my couch and just take a book and read it and listen to some nice music. I also love trekking. I'm fortunate that this part of the city where I live in, we have mountains around, and we could go on small treks there. So I love being in the mountains, and I just like to be with myself and the family, just people being around me.
Wow. So which is the recent book you're reading, and what are the key learnings?
I think the recent book that I read was Morgan Housel's Same as Ever. This was a follow-up after Psychology of Money, and I think he's a great author. Wealth creation is a topic I am very passionate about, and I think the book says that wealth creation is not only about numbers. It is about discipline. It is about behaviors. It is about understanding patterns. So loved that part of the book.
Wow. Okay. Since you're into trekking and you stay in Thane, I know there are beautiful places. But for a new one who wants to start trekking, what tips you would give?
So I started my trekking journey only post 40. I was always fascinated by mountains, but what fascinated me more was Himalayas. So most of the time I have trekked in the Himalayas, either in Uttaranchal. A year before I had done the Everest base camp. I think trekking is more of a mind game than a physical game. You have to be there and you have to just enjoy the walk and enjoy the nature. Beyond a point of time, you and nature become one, and I think that is something that is not something which I can describe. Only people being there in the mountains, in the nature, will get that. And it's never too late. I think as I said, I was never a great sports guy, but I have done the Everest base camp and I have done some treks, and I think if I can do it, everybody can do it.
Wow, beautiful. So if your friends had to describe you in 3 words, what would it be?
I think my friends would describe me as available when needed. I'm always around for my friends, and they know that I'm an ambitious person.
Wow. So what family tradition or celebration means the most to you?
I was actually just speaking to my team, I think a month back during our town hall, that for me, Ganpati celebration is always a big thing for me. For us, we have Ganpati coming to our house before Ganpati comes to our house, our families, we go together, selecting our Ganpati idol. Our house becomes ready for Ganpati. We have guests coming in. It's like that time of the year where, our home feels blessed by the presence of Ganpati, by the love of people coming to our house. Ganpati is bigger than Diwali or any other thing for us. And I personally feel a very strong connection when we have Ganpati coming in. And it's been coming for years now, and we are fortunate to welcome Ganpati every year.
Beautiful. So my last one is a googly one. Describe Sameer in one line.
Maybe I would say a dreamer who is somebody who wants to grow with values.
Beautiful. So let's put you in the hot seat, the rapid fire round. Numbers or people?
People.
Your favorite color?
Red.
IPO or private equity?
IPO.
One financial book everyone should read?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Early morning or late nights?
Late nights.
Your all-time comfort food?
Dal chawal.
Excel sheets or whiteboards?
Whiteboard.
Favorite Gujarati food dish?
Gujarati, I like the meetha curry. Meethi dal.
Wow. Okay. Best piece of advice received?
People, सबका सुनने का करना अपना. मतलब listen to everybody but do what your heart says.
Tea or coffee to recharge?
Tea.
Let's list this.
Yeah.
And here's your book.
Thank you, Amir.
And it has been also autographed. I know you will wear it. So as we wrap up this conversation with Sameer, one thing becomes clear. Finance is not just about balance sheets. It's about balancing vision with reality. From mentoring entrepreneurs to driving SMEs towards sustainable growth, Sameer has shown how strategic financial leadership can truly transform businesses. His journey reminds us that numbers tell stories, and with the right guidance, those stories can evolve into legacies. Here's to the emerging professionals like Sameer, who continue to inspire by blending expertise with empathy. So like that, we have got 500 plus coffee speakers at the Coffee Corner Show on YouTube channel. Subscribe, implement their professional personal journey insights and see the change in your life. And family featured like Sameer, that this in person is for limited coffee speakers. Fill in a form at the Emerging India Forum or LinkedIn page, or get one of the coffee speakers to put in a word. We will definitely continue a conversation with a cup of coffee on Monday. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.